Hello, welcome. This is our monthly Little States Big Innovation Program that we do in partnership with our fantastic partners, Avi Neville and Ophir at Rhode Island Israel Collaborative and Annette Tonti at RIHub, Rhode Island's first innovation hub. I am Tuni Shartner. Welcome. This is our District Hall Virtual Lounge. I'm the Executive Director of District Hall and Venture Cafe in Providence, Rhode Island. That space behind me, that beautiful building where we manage the front of that building, the first two floors, and offer free public lounge and private meeting rooms and an event space that looks out over a beautiful park and a pedestrian bridge in the Providence River that is actually behind Avi. And Annette is also our neighbor in the building with RIHub. So we really enjoy this program, as well as another monthly program we do in partnership with Rhode Island Israel Collaborative called Israeli Game Changers. And we do this programming to further strengthen our relationship with Israel. We have built the bridge and we are committed to continuing to strengthening that bridge. And we'd love it if startups coming out of Israel or any company coming out of Israel considers Rhode Island as a soft landing in America. We have a lot of assets, and our differentiator and unique value proposition is that we are very well connected to each other, and we can support development very quickly in America, right here in Rhode Island. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Avi Neville of the Rhode Island Israel Collaborative, and take it away, Avi.
Thank you, Tony. And again, thank you to our partner as a District Hall Providence, RIHub. And as always, I want to thank our production team. So it's Annette Tonti, Tony Shatner, Avi Melinger, Alexandra Del Pico, Ellison Foley, Amy Erickson, Ashley Medeiros, the new member, Jackie Lee, and our great friend and program manager from the RIIC, Ophir Siga. So I'm very happy because today we have a really special program with 8200 Impact. It's a unit, to those who don't know, that's from 8200 is the Israeli unit in the military, but there is a graduation and people that graduate doing fantastic things. So we'll get to that later. Of course, I want to congratulate Chen, Tomer, and Sigalit for joining the program, and you will hear from them later. Program success. If you recall, to those who was on program 1, we introduced a company called Gate Better. We connected them as a group with Lifespan, with the neuroscience department, and they signed already an agreement, and 3 of those units are coming to Lifespan, and they will do a joint research. So the program works. It's our second success. And as you know, in the VC world, not everything you do is a success, but I'm happy that we already have 2 real successes. So that's very encouraging. We have a couple more news, and we have a new program. I asked many times about Israel economy, so we decided to have a half an hour quick afternoon program once a quarter. And I'm happy to say that Israel Economic Minister to North America, Inon El-Roi, will be our guest opening speaker. We do it also with the Greater Chamber of Newport and the Israeli Consulate in Boston. So it'll be very interesting. To those who like to collaborate between Israel and Rhode Island and develop joint product, there is a funding from Bird Foundation. It's up to $1 million. And we're going to have a program on March 1st. I want to mention there is a company in Israel called Softwheel. And to those who follow, Daniel Bar-El developed another platform with another of the founders of Softwheel. And they recently did an IPO as a joint company in New York of $3.6 billion. But Softwheel received $1 million, and we arranged them the $1 million with a Rhode Island company, Crawford Composite. So that really was their first big exposure to grant of $1 million. And that's really shows that the program worked. We have the mission to Israel that's in progress. We have multiple companies already signed. And if you're in a Rhode Island company who looks to expand business in Israel, contact us. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Chen Shmilo. He's the Managing Director of Impact 8200. Chen is a veteran unit of 8200 and the Prime Minister Office of Israel. He's lawyer in profession. Chen served as a parliamentary advisor in the 18th Knesset and later was appointed to Public Policy Director of the Israeli Medical Association. In 2018, was appointed CEO of Israeli AIDS HIV Task Force, and 2020 was elected the Managing Director of the 8200 Impact. Chen holds a law degree with honor from the University of Haifa and a master's degree in public law from Tel Aviv University and Northeastern University in Chicago. So with any, I'll transfer it to Chen, and please, Chen, welcome, and we're looking forward to hear from you and the two other members that will tell us about them.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Avi, and I'm gonna share my slides. So thank you very much, dear Avi, Annette, Tuni, and Ophir, and the entire team, of course. I'm honored to join you today and represent 8200 Alumni Association, and of course, talk about the 8200 Impact Program that I manage. 8200 unit is the military intelligence directorate's main information gathering and cybersecurity unit. Soldiers in the unit are in charge of developing and utilizing information gathering tools, analyzing, processing, and sharing of the gathered information to relevant officials. It is often regarded as the Israeli version of the National Security Agency, the NSA, and I myself had the privilege to serve in 8200 as a translator. It was a life-changing experience that I understandably won't be able to depict in details today. Many of 8200's alumni have become the country's most successful leaders in diverse fields, but most outstandingly in the high-tech industry. As you can see on your screen now, these are only some of the most successful Israeli tech giants that were founded by 8200 graduates. Let's talk a little bit about the 8200 Alumni Association. So established in 1989, the 8200 Alumni Association sets three chief goals: preserving the special heritage of 8200 unit, developing network opportunities and supporting platforms for the graduates of the unit, and also using our graduates' networking, know-how, and experience in order to give back to society and economy, both locally and globally. To execute the third goal, the association has established several social and technological programs for diverse audiences, and not just for the 8200 graduates. In the technological axis, EISP is the first acceleration program in Israel, and the hybrid is an accelerator for Arab, Druze, and Bedouin entrepreneurs. In the educational axis, TechLift is a unique coding course for teenagers in the periphery, and the Pi Challenge promotes edtech startups in schools around the country, focusing on personalization in education. In the employment axis, a pressing issue now in Israel, Woman to Woman is a mentorship program for young women at the beginning of their career, and Tofsim Kivun supports young adults from the periphery coming from diverse social backgrounds in the beginning of their career too. Before we start talking about 8200 impact, it is important to precisely define what impact technology is. We usually use the following definition: the intentional use of science and technology to benefit people and planet. Accordingly, an impact tech startups will be tested by a triple criterion. First, intentionality. Second, measurable impact. And the third, whether it will be profitable. 8200 Impact is the first and most prominent acceleration program in Israel for social technology startups that aim to tackle significant social or environmental challenges with advanced technological solutions in a wide spectrum of fields. For example, disabilities, gender equality, the elderly, education, health disparity, parenthood, climate, and more. The entrepreneurs enjoy various unique workshops and lectures from business and the impact tech worlds. In addition, they are provided with top-tier mentors and domain experts from both worlds and are connected with the leading investors for technology ventures in Israel. The program is a part of a non-profit organization. Thus, it does not take equity from the participating entrepreneurs. 8200 Impact is not just an acceleration program, but rather an impact tech entrepreneurs community. So far, our graduates have raised more than $51 million and created over 100 jobs. Our survival rate is 55% since 2014. I'm happy to be followed today by two of our champions, Radgreen and EyeKnow. If you'd like to hear more about what we do and explore synergies together, please do not hesitate to reach out by email. Have a pleasant webinar.
Great, and I think Avi, I'm taking it from here, correct? All right. Anybody have any questions about what we just heard and how that might enable your own business? Let us know. Okay, so we're going to actually, if you have questions and we happen to be off the air, don't hesitate to reach out and ask Avi or myself. Anybody will help you get in contact. And that was a terrific presentation. So we're going to actually start now to talk to two entrepreneurs from Israel. And the first one, I'm very pleased to invite Sigalit Mutzafi. Please unmute and join us.
Hi, everyone.
Great to hear from you. So could you go ahead and share your screen? Take it away, Sigalit.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Annette, Avi, Ophir, Tony, everyone. It's a great pleasure, and I'm honored and excited to present here. So please forgive my English. I would have to say that I'm not a native English speaker, so I will apologize before starting to speak. So we started the Radgreen several years ago after we were looking for an apartment for ourselves. We're living in a city, me and my husband. We're raising 3 children, and one of the boys had asthma. So one of the major things I was worried about is how is the environment in that new neighborhood that I do not know. So this is one of the first data I was looking for to understand except location and prices, to understand about the environment. And actually I found no relevant, very local information about that, except just asking people, which is nice, but not scalable. So we were looking for other solutions. Since we did not find any, we just started to develop. And now my partner is a maker and an engineer, so we just started working and looking for who would else except us are looking for this data. And actually it should be interesting for many stakeholders, municipalities of course, but real estate also, and employers and health agencies, and so many more. So we were just starting working at that, and then we found out several interesting issues. Well, first, when we're thinking about air pollution, for example, we're usually thinking about the road outside, but actually inside buildings, where we used to be 90% of our times, except 2020 when it was closer to 100% of our time. Well, inside buildings, the air pollution is 3 to 5 times worse than the outdoors. So since we're there so much of our times and it's much worse, this is something that we should tackle. So we are looking at a solution that we just started selling lately. That is not only important because it's our health, but it also has a price tag for employers. So if about 1/4 of the buildings are sick buildings, that means that employers loses much. They're losing because of absenteeism, sick days, and you can see the numbers. About 1/3 of sick days are due to poor air quality. That's a huge number. Now, it is very important now because now people are much more aware. So now we do know that employers, and not only employers in corporate, but also just businesses, shopping centers, hotels. I mean, many businesses would just like to go back to normal and bring back their customers and employees back to their businesses. So this is the time to show that we're really taking care of them, of our tenants, of our customers and our employees, and show them what we're doing and gain back their trust. So this is exactly what we're trying to do with this system. The system is developed from hardware. This is the piece of hardware where we are collecting the data. We have here sensors that senses air quality, noise, radiation, thermal comfort, and soon enough also the lighting, to give the most comprehensive environmental data, analyze it, and then bringing back to the different stakeholders the information that they are looking for. So I'll show you how it looks like. This is how we're measuring, and it's everything around, about 80% of the environmental health parameters in the well building standards are measured by this system. And then we're able to show our visitors and employees how it looks like on real time. It's just transparent and very easy to consume data. And it's not only for them, it's also for the facility management, for the operations, because they can get much more. They're getting reports once a week. They can integrate it to their ticketing systems so they can manage the place much better. They will get immediate alerts, and they can also predict if there's any problem they need to address right now, or maybe just plan their day and share some of this data with their service provider to better maintain the place and give better support and service to their customers. And what I think is now crucial is really to be transparent about that, to be ESG compliant, and to show everyone that you're doing that. So how you'll do that with a major screen, a large screen on the wall, in the reception, in the cafeteria, in the open spaces, where you can just share the information with your customers, visitors, and employees. You can also share with employees some more information and give them more control on their smartphones, where they can really investigate what happened here in the last hour, why now my CO2 level is much higher, and what can I do to improve it. And the facility manager has a world of operation information, as I mentioned before, which will just make him much better at his work. And I will not say again how important it is right now for everyone, because the problem was there, right? But COVID just made us more aware. And it's good for many places. I'm looking especially at B2B sectors of commercial real estate, where people are not that in control of their environment. Mostly those buildings are a sealed aquarium. It's not like home. We cannot just open a window when we wish to. So we're totally dependent on the HVAC systems. And therefore, this is where we can impact the most and bring a better, healthier buildings to those people. Spending time in the offices, in the retail, in hotels, in clinics, and in academia. And we actually have already use cases for each of these sectors. So for example, we're working here with the third largest bank in Israel, but also with gym chains, high-tech companies, real estate companies. So we're looking to elaborate those networks and to find some more partners in the US where we would like to start our business very soon. Our business model is set up and then a subscription, because the data is there and we're taking care all the time, supporting our customers. Well, I'm thankful to Chen and to 8200. We learned a lot in the accelerator. We were also backed by the Israeli Innovation Authority, and the team is now of 12 people. And we're looking to raise some more funds and recruit some more people to the team in order to support the North American market that we're looking for in this year, 2021. So this is my ask to you. We're looking now for partners in the US. We would like to grow our business, and we're looking for partners that can take our technology and start a business in the US and support it to their customers in the markets that I mentioned. I'm thankful to you for this stage, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Great. Wow. Okay. So everyone who has a question, please go ahead and put it in the chat. So Sigalit, where do I start? I personally love this. So I'll start with that. And I think we could do a lot to help enable you here, not just in Rhode Island, but in the US. So, and awesome that that you were also, you went through the IBM Alpha Zone, which is terrific. At RIHub, which is the organization I work with, we are definitely connected to IBM Alpha Zone in a big way. So, okay, in the States, I know one of the things that happens to be something that's been implemented is some local gyms have begun to get CO2 detectors, because there's a direct connection between the level of CO2 in a building or in a room and the potential of getting exposed to the virus, right? So I noticed there's things like temperature, et cetera. Is the CO2 the main event of what you're monitoring at this point? And then a secondary to that is, in the future, do you envision monitoring other, carbon monoxide? What are all the things that you're thinking about measuring?
Yes, so actually in this small piece of device, we're measuring both CO2, VOCs, and the Wi-Fi level to understand what is their power. And then if it's too low or too high, it has different implications. We're measuring noise and thermal comfort. We have other devices where we are measuring also the particulate meter, 2.5 micron, and CO, in addition to all the things that I mentioned already. So it's all in there, and we think that it's essential to bring a whole solution, a complete one, so our customers will not have to look for different solutions. And it needs to be very simple to implement in order to be very useful. So this is what we're looking for. That's what we want to do.
And you have zeroed in on a big problem, and we're talking mathematically. So if you think about corporate assets and how many billions of dollars right now are sitting idle because people aren't going back to offices, et cetera. So a solution like this, well, I think is a type of a game-changing solution to get people to be more comfortable. So here's a question for you. When it comes to me, the employee that's walking into a building, is the model that, I know that you said there'll be big monitors, et cetera, but is the model that I also have an app that I would be able to walk into that environment and be able to see on my app what's happening? because it may be that in the lobby, it's one thing, but up in my office on the second floor, it's a completely different environment. Is that
Yes.
the model? Okay.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes. That's why I showed that there are different user interfaces. One is for the entire reception lobby or shared spaces where everyone can just see the information visible, but also another user interface that is on your mobile phone where you can see the information that's relevant for your room. And then you can better understand what happened. Well, I closed the doors and the windows and shut down my air conditioning. Well, that's why I'm feeling a bit nosy right now and dizzy, and I do not have enough air, and I can see the CO2 level rising up. And then I can understand what happened. I can open the door, I can turn on my air condition. So we will also recommend what to do. So you'll be able to understand. One of our recommendations is just even to put a plant in the room. So there's a whole world of informations regarding our health and environment.
Fabulous. I'm going to take a question from Yuval, who asked, can you explain more about the business model? Is there a unit for every 100 square foot, one per office? Can you give an example of a cost per office? And that's a great question, because the question is it per office, or, and I'm assuming I'm not paying as the employee. We would want the building owner to pay, who probably could actually get a premium on their rents to say, we're also supplying this, which would be a differentiator. But how does that work in terms of pricing?
Well, you're very sharp. Actually, we have such a discussion with the commercial real estate company just about that, and they are interested to take a premium rent from their tenants. So that's exactly one of the situations. But also we have customers that are employers, and they're paying, of course, for the spaces. So it depends how open the space is, because an open space will need only one, unless it's a very, very large open space. But if you want to know for every room, then yes, every room would need such a device, or else we cannot measure.
Right, right. And in terms of just actually one more question, in terms of sort of that notion of measuring, this is not meant to be a trick question at all, but that notion of measuring, the potential for virus, is that really done through the CO2 level? I mean, there's no way of detecting that pathogens are in the air, correct? Or is it particulates plus, I don't know. How does that work? I'm just guessing.
You're guessing very okay. You have a very educational guess. Yes, it's all together. It's all together. Temperature, humidity, particulate meter, CO2 and VOCs, it's everything all together that we're measuring in order to better understand what's happening and how to just lower the risk. We cannot really measure the virus itself. We're measuring the environment.
Right, that's what I would assume. It's interesting because, anyway, I'll take that offline. It's like there's these new devices coming out where you can blow in them and they can maybe detect the virus. And I'm like, I wonder if there's, anyway. That's probably
it's not as, but it's essential, yes.
Yes. All right. Anybody else have any questions here? This is fascinating. By the way, we have a local company here who I'm going to introduce you to as well. I have some companies probably much more ready. Who is the person you most likely talk to? Is it the building manager, facilities manager? Who is it that normally you would sell to?
Yeah, so the buying persona is the facility manager or operation manager. It depends on the company. But this is the persona usually, yes.
Terrific.
But actually, we have many stakeholders to this information. I mean, both HR are interested and need to communicate the information to the employees. So it's HR, it's finance, operation, of course. So everyone has its interest, but the buying persona is definitely the facility manager.
Probably even the legal team, to be quite. Actually, somebody just asked a really good question. Competition. Are there companies out there that you know of worldwide that are doing something similar?
Yes, there are companies, of course. We're not alone. We're not a genius. So there are several companies doing similar things, also some American companies. But we believe that we have an unfair advantage looking at the environment as a very complete solution and providing a comprehensive information, managing it, and looking at the whole facility, not just a specific device. So this is our secret sauce, and that's why we think we have an advantage in the market.
And how long have you guys been around?
4.5 years already.
Oh, wow, good. Okay. So
Yes.
great, good timing. So you're ready you're actually ready to sell. So that's really great.
Yes.
Great news. That's awesome.
That's true.
Well, Sigalit, we will be back in touch. I'm thrilled that we had the opportunity to speak with you today and meet you and learn about your startup. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice
We'll be
day.
in touch. Thank you. And Tomer, we are now ready to talk to Tomer Sagi. If you could go ahead and with EyeKnow, if you could go ahead and start up
Yep.
your screen.
Yes, absolutely. So hi, first of all, it's great to meet everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So it's exciting to speak to you guys and meet more individuals from across the ocean, I would say. When I lived in New Zealand briefly, everybody spoke about across the ditch. So there's no ditch here, but there's a big ocean. So I'm happy to see all these friendly faces, and I'll share with you the presentation I prepared. I'll say up front, we are a young startup, so we don't have a few years. A couple of words about me, if you can hear me still, and I'll share my screen in parallel. I'm born and raised in Israel, half Kiwi. Lived in New Zealand for 7 years, but now I live in Israel naturally. I've got a family, 2 young kids. One is a 4.5-year-old girl, and the other one is a 2-year-old boy. They're all super great, and we are suffering in lockdown. So that's pretty much the extent of what we do. A little bit about EyeKnow. I'll try to keep it brief because I'm interested in the conversation. So EyeKnow is a startup that came about as a result of a lot of pain that we have here in Israel and have had for the last probably quite a few years actually, which is around abuse at daycare centers. Jump straight in. And this is a big problem in Israel for various reasons, but with my entrepreneurial background and technical background, I thought, why not have a piece of technology that can automatically detect these things? So got the team together, we worked on it. We got a good algorithm, and we piloted it probably in December last year with some good results. So that's how we started. Looking across into the global market, we wanted to see, these are just some images from too many incidents in Israel that have happened in the last even year. And then we, as every Israeli tech startup would do, they look in a global market. We just don't look locally. And then we wanted to figure out if this is a big problem, this is an opportunity for us to provide some technology in daycares around the world. Started off with doing some research in the States and the UK. We found that there is incidence of it. It's not a big problem as it is in Israel on the surface of things. So we saw an opportunity to provide a sort of an automatic regulation sort of compliance monitor to a certain extent. So we can do a lot of things from CCTV and surveillance cameras. And basically what we thought about trying to achieve is to be able to bridge some of the gap, not bridge the gaps, but more about looking at some of the holes, I guess, that we have in the ecosystem of care, the care sort of ecosystem. And we wanted to sort of look a bit further out into, in addition to abuse and aggressive behavior, what are the other things that we can offer with a potential solution like ours? And I'll elaborate about the solution in just a moment. So in essence, we were able to distill these sort of driving forces in the daycare ecosystem, I guess, from the daycare centers and the chains on one hand, and the parents on the other. And again, I love my kids and I have a great time, and I see that, you know, as a sort of an impact on the rest of their lives, it's very critical to ensure that they have a good starting point, I guess, in life. And unfortunately, if something else happens, it, you know, could severely influence how they live the rest of their lives. So it's very important. So we wanted to tackle this sort of space and see if we can provide value to the daycare center owners, and in the process provide value to the parents. And we know that the parents are concerned about safety and the care quality, which is the driving forces for a lot of decisions that they make. And we know that the daycare centers are concerned, especially during COVID, but mainly before and post-COVID. They want to be competitive, they want to reduce their costs, and they also want to make sure that they've got a good care quality and their child safety is intact. So we're basically the system that we have developed. Oops, where's the thing? Here it is. So the system that we've developed is basically a system. Hang on, it jumps. That it uses AI and computer vision. So it's basically integrates into CCTV cameras, off-the-shelf CCTV cameras that, from research that we've done, exist in about maybe 70 to 80% of the daycare centers in the US. It's a good starting point, but they're not used for almost anything except for if something does happen, they can look back and see if something really happened. You know, so this is quite a dumb sort of solution, and we want to make this a much more smart solution. So some of the things that I mentioned we can do at the moment is aggressive detection, abuse detection, but we can also do a lot of other things, thinking about the quality of care using international standards, which is based on some of the regulation that happens in the States. And I've sort of highlighted them here. It's called ITERS, ECHRS, and CLASS, for those of you who understand a little bit about that. So there are sort of elements that we can introduce into our system to basically extract insights about how regulated a center is. And that could be done almost in real time. And we can say, okay, this center fits, you know, on a scale of whatever, A to C. This is an A center or B center, and these are the things they can do to improve. So the overall value that we want to provide daycare centers is improvement of the quality of care. Okay, and there's a mobile app, and there's a dashboard, and there's an AI system that works off surveillance cameras, basically. A couple of words about the business model. So it's very simple. It's a SaaS model. We already have a couple of small chains signed up for a pilot in the States, and hopefully another big sort of medium-sized 30-center chain that is interested in this type of solution on a very basic level, which is the insurance type policy level. I want to know that everything is okay in my centers and that everything is safe. The way that he described it, I want to ensure that the 1% chance that something might happen, that I'm covered. And the thing that we're focusing on is detecting aggressive behavior, not abuse. And by doing so, we want to prevent abuse. So we're talking about burnout. We want to find out if someone has started their day off on the wrong foot because of whatever reason, and everybody's got their own reasons, right? So we want to be able to prevent abuse, right? So about $150, that's based on information provided by the centers themselves. As far as secret sauce goes, this is just an illustration of how we actually do it. So this is a vision from a security camera in a daycare center, so we can analyze and track. I know tracking sounds so scary, but as you can see, the information that we gather does not have any information of any facial information, which is the biggest concern in video. It's just stick figures and movements. But by doing so, we're able to identify specific adult to child behavior, not just aggressive, but at the moment we're thinking about aggressive detection behavior. And we've collected a lot of data set. We have, close to 10,000 hours of daycare center activity, which we were able to use to model whatever outcomes we would want. And at the moment, we're focusing on aggressive detection, as I mentioned. As far as traction, briefly, so we've done a pilot in Israel with 3 daycare centers together with a monitoring company and one of the largest telecommunication companies in Israel. They were interested in using this technology in their sort of business solution sort of segment. So they're selling cameras and deploying cameras, and they wanted to add another service as an added value. And we've signed 2 LOIs in the States, as I mentioned, and also a channel partner in the States to be able to push it out to more daycare centers. Generally, just a couple of words about the go-to-market. It's relevant because it's sort of part of, I guess, this discussion, which was what I'm hoping to explore. For us to see that this market is actually viable, because we're still early. We only been 6 months on the market. We started working fully in July last year, 2020. So we're moving very fast. We want to establish a a design partner. So basically a large daycare chain, something like Bright Horizons, the learning experience, childcare network, and things like that. We already had some discussions with the learning experience and Bright Horizons in the UK, and there is a little bit of interest, but I think mainly due to COVID, it's very challenging. And then obviously selling through partners. Sorry, the sort of the second phase didn't show up properly on time. So that's in the States, and then moving on to other regions. That's the original plan. However, right now, this is a perfect opportunity for us because we're doing two things. On the one hand, we're doing needs validation on the daycare space, which is on the left side, but we're also exploring other use cases, doing more customer discovery. And I think this is where the big opportunity lies, where basically the other use cases cover these main sectors: elderly care, and we know that there's a lot of incidents on the one hand of abuse and aggression in nursing homes and elderly care at home. Nanny cams, talking about babysitters or more au pair type, full day sort of care, and also schools. And we also, everybody knows that schools have got terrible problems with violence between kids, not between teachers and kids so much, but more kid to kid. So these are sort of the use cases that we see that we have an opportunity to go into, and we want to explore those as well. So this is something I'll sort of put out. As far as what we're looking for with regards to that, related to this conversation today, and I'll try and be brief. So we're actually looking for CEOs or operations directors of these in these different verticals. So this is a bit more detailed insights into what exactly we're looking for. So if it's elderly care, so long-term care chains, nursing home chains, at-home elderly care providers, and also the surveillance integrators. So companies that install CCTV cameras and some basic analytics, because they might have interest in also pushing this out to market. As far as nanny cams, is mainly resellers, and on a daycare chain, again, as I mentioned, we're looking for a big chain so we can partner with. And on the school level, we want to sort of do some more research into the district boards, district head office and the county, sort of to figure out. And I know they've got control centers looking into this, basically all the CCTV surveillance cameras feed into the central place. And this could be another extension of making their activity more efficient. We are sort of a two-founder team, myself, the CEO, with a lot of product backgrounds. This is my third startup. My partner, my friend, he's a CTO, machine learning, computer vision, and audio analysis. And that's basically it. I've got a few more slides, but depending on the questions. So happy to get some questions. And yeah.
Thank you. Great job. EyeKnow looks amazing, actually. I have a question about the actual implementation, and I'm going to take somebody's question from the audience as well around that. So sure. I take it that your CTO, your partner, actually, did he build the AI, the visual AI piece from scratch, or were you? There's a lot of platforms out there that do that, and then you just train them. But are you guys kind of building that from scratch? It's actually part one of a two-part question.
I'm excited. So it's a combination. I mean, most companies, same as we start off with something that already exists, and we train it for our purposes. So we have a lot of data that we've collected, and we're in the process of tagging. So there's a lot of data that we actually manually go and tag. By tagging is selecting the segments that show a certain event. And then we build our own systems, and we add additional what's called layers, sort of the deep learning layers, the deep tech stuff, to make sure that we can, fine tune and find what we need. So Elia, my partner, he was part of the team that built it. We had other people come and go in various formats, but yeah, he definitely was part of it.
That makes total sense. And so to that, part two is, we have a question from Kate in the audience. Can you explain what those colored stick figures of the people show? Yeah. Like how do they show you what's happening in the childcare center? And like, kind of, what do you know? What is it that kind of alerts the system to say there's something wrong here?
Sure. So this is an image illustration, but the current, we have multiple models that sort of we use, but the actual current model that we used in the pilot in December is more, it doesn't track specifically the individuals. I mean, the tracking that we see here is to be able to distinguish between an adult and a child, which is which is a big challenge in computer vision, in the computer vision space. Especially because of the angle of the camera, they look sometimes similar. If the adult is at the back and the child is at the front, they might look the same. So that's a challenge that we're looking to address. And once we do that, we can also automatically talk about ratios in real time. So we can talk about ratios of adults and children, or identify if there were rooms without adults, but with children, so unattended, which is also critical. It's part of regulation and so on. But our current model is based on more holistic. So it looks at the entire screen and it identifies certain movements that happen on screen. And we sort of fine tune that to the extent that, okay, we can see even during a regular operation of a daycare, once there's a sudden movement or unusual movement, it knows to detect it as a potential aggressive movement. So it could be incidents. I mean, I've got videos, but I don't want to show because it's actually kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, things like pulling a child's arm, you know, too roughly, as an example. Yeah.
So you can tell by body movements because you're not doing facial expression at all, which is interesting and probably good for the reasons. Privacy. So once an incident happens, it happens like say something's happening right now. Does the system alert? And in other words, in the background, is your company actually monitoring who are sort of the folks that are sort of policing it? Does it happen immediately or does it happen several hours later to know that an event happened?
Very good question. So at the moment, it's what's called near real time. So it runs and it's probably delayed by a few minutes because we haven't fully optimized it from a technology standpoint. But to us, it doesn't matter. It even could be like at the end of the day type report because we want to be able to identify the events first and then report it. But right now, it's near real time. And once an event is detected, a video clip is created. It takes a few seconds before and after. So you have a clip that shows the context of what happened. And it's shared via mobile app to whoever that might be. It could be the director, preschool director. It could be the owner if it's a small center, or it could be someone like an operations manager of a big chain, you know, so it all depends on the type of organization that is using this.
That's great. So Tomer, this is your third startup. So you know the situation here. So it sounds to me like you're very smartly also doing customer discovery right now. You said you were. And the slide that said, what are the things that we could do to help you had a number of different entities on there that we could introduce you to, which we actually can do. And I'm assuming, like, for example, a good example would be the senior living homes, long-term care, for example. We definitely can open some doors there for you here in Rhode Island as a good example. And I'm assuming you might be opening that up to talk to them to do your customer discovery. Is that,
yeah,
you know?
I mean, very good question. So we want to do some more sort of research as part of that. I mean, we have a one of the largest nursing homes in Israel is interested in doing a partnership with us, sort of exploratory research. So we'll have access to a chain of about 14 centers, I think, institutes. I mean, here in Israel, and to access about 600 cameras. So we can do a lot of exploratory finding out like what exactly is of value. And that could be anything from fall detection, which is a big problem, as well as abuse. So abuse, fall detection, and mental deterioration. So it's integrating that into, with other senses, because most of the time the nursing homes and the long-term care, they've got multiple senses. So we're looking for something similar in the States that we can flush that out and hopefully, reach a point where we can use them as a beta site, basically.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And there's certainly a lot of elder care areas that actually are, they don't give a lot of care, and that would be helpful to actually know that somebody's in their apartment and fell, as a good example. That would be great. So another question I have is when you're contemplating, when you sell this as a package, are you selling the off-the-shelf video cams with them? Or if they already have video cams, some of them do, can you integrate into those? Or maybe you're not sure yet until you find out what they have.
Yeah, no, No, that's cool. I mean, our plan is to, as I mentioned, like integrate, like seamless integration with. It's not like a plug and play solution. So we want to come in and ideally have a CCTV camera already in place. So we just come in and we plug in either via a private cloud, what's called, which is like super secure, or we can also set up a box that actually sits physically either in a single institute or in the head office of a chain. So it's like super secure and nothing comes out, and everybody's happy. And then the notifications on the alerts, they come in a local network into the desktop screen of the director or the operator or whoever else needs to see this information.
And I can imagine the value proposition here, especially for the larger chains, or actually anyone running a daycare, is that you can tell the parents, basically peace of mind that this is monitored. You can't,
Yeah.
You won't be shocked or surprised by something that you hear about in the news, because this is being monitored. So that makes a lot of sense. Well, terrific.
Exactly. Actually,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry,
Yeah,
just one comment, if I may.
please.
Just a question, no comment. So a question. I mean, one additional thing that I didn't put on the slide here is if there's any way of you guys have any, I guess, access to any government-related organizations or entities. As an example, the I forgot the name now. There's the government daycare chain. Lost my mind. 1,600 centers. Head Start. I think Head Start is one option, and also other entities such as licensing and family and child offices, then departments and government and sort of local state offices. So any access to those would be also beneficial from both a statistical perspective, but also from a needs perspective, to see how big this problem is, which will help us also refine the proposition.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Well, great. Anybody else have any further questions for Tomer? Let's see if I make sure I got everything I think I have. All right. Well, that wraps us up just a minute or two early. I want to thank Sigalit and Tomer for your wonderful presentations. I know I personally got a lot out of it. We will all follow up in terms of some ideas about connecting you up. I know that Avi's already done some of that already, but we have some things to connect you up with, both of you. So thank you again for joining us. I know you're missing the snow here on the East Coast of the United States. Go enjoy your sunshine in Israel today. And please send some of that our way. And we are excited to have met you today. And Avi, take it away.
Thank you all. Thank you, Tuni and your team. Thank you, Annette, and thank you, our speaker. And I want to also mention Eliana Dunn from 8200. She really is a contact. Unfortunately, she couldn't participate today. I think the takeaway for us is there is an opportunity here for Rhode Island institution and companies to collaborate. If it's a joint research, if it's becoming agents as a test site, and especially for the speakers, for the audience, if you know someone that might be interesting, to connect to those companies, let us know, because part of the idea is here to connect the Rhode Island ecosystem with the Israeli one. And I hope we'll have results. As a matter of fact, one of the audience, and I sent him a text message, is involved in old age homes. And as a matter of fact, he's also from 8200. So I sent him already a text message, and hopefully he will connect you, Tomer. But again, Sigalit and Chen, you did a terrific job. Congratulations on what you're doing. And thank you to all the team. And Ophir, I wanted to give her a shout out too. She was sick, but she still worked on the program. Until next time. And Tuni, it's all yours.
Also, if I can also wrap up on behalf of Eliana and 8200 Alumni Association, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. We cannot be appreciative enough of your efforts for our startups. And I hope it's just the beginning of an ongoing relationship.
RIHub, what we do, we have a Bridge to Israel program. So we offer incubation, including space and all of our programs, no charge, to companies that are looking to land and expand here in Rhode Island. So I could follow up with both of you on that as well. So we're here to help.
Yeah, and we can share the information with the cohort that is about to finish the program in 2 weeks. And yeah,
Chen, I will definitely follow up with you.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Thank you all for being here. And please, you have all of our contact information. Reach out if you need anything. That's our differentiator here in Rhode Island. We love to connect you to the resources you need to grow. So, so thank you for being here in Rhode Island virtually today and sharing your stories. We all enjoyed them. Fantastic and very relevant. Next time.
Hopefully.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.